Alright, so I've talked a lot about bad companies that sponsor YouTubers. Opera GX is a big one that I like to talk about, but another one that's recently become a pretty popular name in the bad YouTube sponsorship conversation is BetterHelp. Now, for those of you who don't actually know what BetterHelp is a mental health platform that provides direct online counseling and therapy services via web or phone text communication. That's how they describe themselves, but to me and many others, they've gained the reputation of being the company that's attempted to mass-produce therapy in the most dishonest way possible. You probably already know about BetterHelp's shady practices and some of the skeletons in their closet, but in case you don't, I'm gonna run you through some of the most important things to note about BetterHelp that you might not know about. Easily the most egregious thing about BetterHelp that I had found was an old line in their terms of service. You won't be able to find this line in their terms of service anymore, but if you go back into the archives, this was a real bullet point on their TOS. Under the section titled Counselors and Counselor Services, they say, "We do not control the quality of the counselor services, and we do not determine whether any counselor is qualified to provide any specific service, as well as whether a counselor is categorized correctly or matched correctly to you." Now, I don't know about you guys, but I would say being qualified to give therapy might matter if you're going to work as a therapist. If you don't know how to cook, you should not be a chef at a 5-star restaurant, let alone even McDonald's. This is insane. They were not background checking whether they're quote-unquote licensed professionals, and I use quote-unquote because that is a legitimate talking point used in a lot of these ad reads that YouTubers were doing. They said, hey, BetterHelp is great because you can get matched with a licensed professional really easily after taking this quiz. You as BetterHelp cannot claim to match somebody with a licensed professional if in your own terms of service you can't determine whether people are even qualified to do the fucking job. But yeah, they were not doing background checks on these people giving therapy, and you can find dozens of horror stories on Reddit, on TikTok, on any social media platform of clients of BetterHelp therapists talking about the traumatic experiences they've had with counselors.
So I tried BetterHelp twice. I actually got a refund from them. So my first therapist was 10 minutes late to our 10-minute meeting, our first initial meeting. And then she was like, oh, wow, we don't have a lot of time. So I told her about something, and it was like something traumatic for me. And she focused so much on the other people's pronouns and sexuality that like the story didn't even matter at this point. And then she kept trying to sell me her book. So I contacted them and I got a different therapist. He was also late and just completely missed our first meeting. We set a second one. He missed that one. And then he just texted like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I was at my other job. And I was just like, what? A
Reddit post from 2021 titled, "BetterHelp is a dangerous service and I plan to take legal action with your help." A user of the service describes his experience alongside his partner's experience with the service being abysmal. The dude had some sessions with a therapist and decided to recommend his girlfriend get some as well. And after the second session that his girlfriend had, her therapist's advice was to break up with him. Hello? You have better odds finding a therapist on Temu than you do on BetterHelp, okay? Find a therapist from across the globe who speaks a different language and is in a different time zone, and you'll get better therapy than you do with BetterHelp. Now, the product is bad. We all know that. That's been established, and you don't need my word for it. Take any person who's used it word for it. I'm sure, okay, you know what? I will say I'm sure it's helped some people. They have like 400,000 active users, and I'm sure at least 100,000 or so of them, at the minimum, are doing okay, and they're getting good service. That's fine.
Why y'all put cheese on my cheeseburger?
You're a literal holder of a master's degree in psychology. I would like you to talk about the services BetterHelp provides their users. I mean, look at all these beautiful green BetterHelp check marks, while in-office poop sessions have all these red crosses. You know, unlike in-office therapy, BetterHelp has messaging at any time, chat sessions, video sessions, phone sessions.
I mean, most in-office therapists have phones and laptops as well.
You dare say that BetterHelp's perks are actually not perks? They're creps?
Stupid.
I mean, you guys don't have easy to switch providers.
Fuck does that even mean?
Well, either they're talking about switching telecom providers, but I'm pretty sure they're referring to easily being able to switch therapists.
I mean, in-office therapists can be changed.
No! We all know you're assigned an in-office therapist at birth and then can't change it for the rest of your life. My in-office therapist had basically all of these services. I mean, I could text her whenever, I could mail her. When I had to move abroad to Sweden, we just did video call therapy for 4 months. So this deceitful chart should actually look like this. Okay, so can you guess how much they dare ask for this?
It's supposed to be cheaper than in-office therapy, right? So $120.
$300! More specifically, $260 to $360 a month, depending on location, preferences, and therapist availability. Do you know how much I paid for my 2 60-minute sessions for in-office therapy a month?
$130.
$130.
Now that does not change any of the inherent flaws with their business model, but I do want to say besides those, there is many issues with BetterHelp as a company. Let's start off with something pretty innocuous but somewhat annoying. When you try to cancel the subscription to BetterHelp because it auto-renews, it kind of tries to make it as challenging as possible to do so. Now this is not a criticism that is unique to BetterHelp. There's a lot of subscription models that make it impossible for you to cancel, like when they make you take a survey as to why you're canceling your subscription and they won't let you do it unless you complete the survey. How about you leave me alone, buddy? But in my opinion, Netflix and Amazon Prime, they never try to come across as morally virtuous, really. So if they're gonna give you a hard time canceling your subscription, well, you know, that sucks, but it is what it is. The whole thing with BetterHelp is that they're caring for the customer. They want you to have the best mental health possible. They're gonna match you with a licensed professional and get you the help you need, right? If they care for you. So you would think they'd have the decency to at least let you go if you want to. Like, if you want to cancel, the door's over there. Users who have attempted to cancel their BetterHelp subscription have faced enormous trouble doing so, being repeatedly questioned why they're canceling and if they're sure about it. And eventually, when you get to the point where you're actually going to get the button that says, hey, cancel, this isn't a huge deal, but like, you know, they know what they're doing. The button that says quit therapy is red, and the one that says don't quit is green. Now, green means go, and I want to go quit, right? It means like do something, affirmative. But red means don't do something. So they're using marketing color theory in order to try to get people to not cancel their service, which I mean, like, from a marketing perspective makes sense. They're, you know, they're trying to make money, but it's just like, dude, you're not BetterHelp. You know, you're in the business of getting people's money, which leads me to my next point, which is the fact that they were fined $8 million by the FTC for selling user data to third-party social media platforms. I discussed this in my last video about BetterHelp, but it's worth saying again. The founder of BetterHelp had addressed these claims that BetterHelp was selling data to third parties by saying, one of the favorite conspiracy theories was that our business model is selling data to third parties. This is such a far-fetched conspiracy that I feel awkward addressing it. Our model is simple. Members pay a fee to get counseling. Counselors are paid to provide counseling. We are in the counseling business, not in the data business. There is nothing we take more seriously than the security and privacy of our members. It also goes without saying that counseling is a strictly regulated space, and selling such data would be a gross violation of federal laws, state laws, HIPAA regulations, and our own terms and privacy policy. Well, the ending of that is laughable. Like, oh, we would be violating our own privacy policy. Well, it's like you guys make up the rules as you go, so it doesn't really matter if you break your own rules. Like, that's like someone in court saying, well, I didn't do this crime because it goes against my moral judgment. It's like that kind of doesn't mean shit, and you can change that whenever you want. Well, the FTC specifically found things, and I want to read this thing from the release. I don't even know what this is, but it's a document that describes their findings. From 2013 to December 2020, however, respondents continually broke these privacy promises, monetizing consumers' health information to target them and others with advertisements for the service. For example, from 2018 in 2020, respondent used the consumer's email addresses and the fact that they had previously been in therapy to instruct Facebook to identify similar consumers and target them with advertisements for the service, bringing in tens of thousands of new paying users and millions of dollars in revenue as a result. Yeah, so that quote-unquote far-fetched conspiracy theory that he felt awkward even addressing turned out to not only be 100% true, but it cost them a lot of money. Someone should have told this jokester, this clown, that when these far-fetched conspiracy theories were coming out, because he knew they were always true, that lying just makes it worse, okay? He should have just said, you know what? Yeah, you caught us, alright?
You got me.
Now, if we take a step back and look at the BetterHelp timeline, they were really prominent YouTube sponsorship in 2018. They were sponsoring a lot of creators in 2018. Then after being ostracized by the YouTube community with a lot of big creators making videos against BetterHelp, like PewDiePie, his video has, I think, like 6 million views. They were banished into the shadow realm. Creators stopped sponsoring them, and they stopped sponsoring creators. They went away for a long time. Well, starting last year, they've seen a resurgence in the sponsorship economy with more and more YouTubers sponsoring them yet again. It's as if 2018 never happened. Now, it has been about 5 years since this whole controversy went down, so a new audience of people is watching YouTube who may have never even heard about them, and those who did may not even remember what they did wrong and might not even care. Let's go over 2 more shady things that they did. One thing they did was after the Travis Scott Astroworld tragedy, where at the Astroworld Festival in Houston on November 5th, 2021, a crowd surge during Travis Scott's performance led to a stampede. As the crowd surged forward, many concert goers were crushed and trampled, resulting in multiple fatalities and numerous injuries. The exact causes of the incident are still under investigation, but factors such as overcrowding, a lack of crowd control, and failure to stop the concert promptly when signs of distress were evident have been cited as contributing factors. Well, after this tragedy occurred, Travis Scott released one of the corniest and, I would say, just lacking remorse apologies of all time, where he put a black and white filter on his face on Instagram, appeared to be fake crying, and was just, it was just a terrible situation.
I just want to send out prayers to the ones that was lost last night. We're actually working right now to identify the families so we can help assist them through this tough time. You know, my fans really mean the world to me, and I always just really want to leave them with a positive experience. And anytime I can make out...
Well, BetterHelp ended up teaming up with Travis Scott. This is not a joke. BetterHelp and Travis Scott provide support in the wake of the Astroworld tragedy. BetterHelp was offering a free month of their service, a free month of therapy to all those affected by the Astroworld tragedy. So the Travis Scott PR team was like, shit, this is not looking too good. What if we just, like, pay the mass-produced therapy company and they'll give the people who were literally traumatized, like, a free month of their service? That'll be good, right? And BetterHelp was like, oh yeah, shit, new customers, let's do it. Now, I don't know if this looks worse on Travis Scott or BetterHelp. I mean, it probably BetterHelp, right? Because the reason it looks bad on Travis Scott in the first place is because BetterHelp is bad. But you gotta think, like, imagine being one of those guys who was legit traumatized by the concert, and then you realize, like, after a month of doing this therapy thing, that it's gonna be a pain in the ass to cancel the subscription because it's gonna auto-renew and start charging you. And on top of that your data is being sold to Facebook and Snapchat and other third parties. I would be delighted. I'd be like, wow, you guys must really care. So I don't know if this is like the best criticism I can give of BetterHelp besides like the privacy complaints, but you gotta think, I mean, they literally saw this tragedy and were like, well, we see a perfect opportunity to promote our product to people. I mean, this is like a new demographic of users. They literally were like, well, this is tragic, but at least we have more customers now. You gotta think to people like Sneeko and some of the Red Pill people, they're like, you know, convinced that therapists are bad because they're trying to make you sad so they can keep seeing you, and that they want you to keep being sad so they can suck money out of you, right? But it's like, I don't think that's true in general, but for BetterHelp, I think that literally is true, because it's just like, oh, the worse that things get in the world, the more they're gonna like team up with people who are making things worse to like create a market. It's kind of insane. Well, speaking of getting new customers, there was a service called CareDash that was shut down, and CareDash was, well, the biggest fraud of all time. CareDash was a website that was going to pairing you with a doctor. But the problem is that these doctors and the people that were being recommended to you by CareDash did not consent or know that they were on CareDash's website, and they were not affiliated whatsoever. So CareDash, when you actually would try to book an appointment through CareDash with a doctor that you found on the website, it would say, hey, yeah, we actually can't find this person, they're unavailable, or something of the sort, and instead refer you to BetterHelp.
Turns out CareDash was a fraud scheme that had been posting profiles of real physicians, clinicians, and therapists, most importantly, without their knowledge or consent. That might seem strange, but the incentive is actually very, very straightforward. CareDash would host the profiles of real therapists, but then if someone tried to use their platform to actually book an appointment with that therapist, CareDash would say, oops, sorry, they're not accepting new people right now, and refer that potential customer directly to BetterHelp. Try to stay with me here. I learned through an escalated federal lawsuit that CareDash was operated by a company called NewFit Media. And NewFit Media is a multi-million-dollar startup funded by a venture capital firm called Link Ventures. It's got all the typical bells and whistles, world-class partnerships, and strong and passionate creative teams, etc., etc. But if we compress it down to a basic point of reference here, CareDash was a multi-million-dollar fraud platform driving traffic through unauthorized use of therapist profiles to BetterHelp, which was shut down in the first quarter of 2023.
Now, BetterHelp claimed they were not affiliated with CareDash, but how does that make sense, right? You're telling me a website that was a complete fraud and existed to what I can only assume drive traffic to BetterHelp's website wasn't affiliated with BetterHelp? I'm not sure I understand how they're not affiliated, but okay. Anyway, the reason that BetterHelp is back and better than ever is because they're giving YouTubers a lot of money, just straight up. Some YouTubers were receiving $100 per person who signed up for even a free trial using their code. So if you as a YouTuber got even 100 people to sign up, that's a $10,000 commission, which is usually alongside a pretty substantial flat payment for just doing the commercial as a guarantee. So BetterHelp pays big money, and unfortunately there's a lot of people who, regardless of even if the company is doing bad things, has a shady background, and is just in general a bad product, will in fact do a commercial for them because they pay so well. That's just how it goes. And look, I don't fault many YouTubers for doing this, whether if they need the money or if they just don't know BetterHelp is bad. But I would just say in general, I think if you are a YouTuber with a large enough platform with enough subscribers and you have enough money, just do something else. Just do something else that'll pay you even as much money as BetterHelp will that isn't as bad of a product, because I know a lot of companies will pay a lot of money, so you don't have to go with this one. So that brings us to today. There's definitely more awareness about BetterHelp as a shady YouTube sponsor. I've seen videos with millions of views exposing BetterHelp, which I like to see, and I think that's good. I think the awareness about this is definitely up, but also along with that is the actual amount of people doing BetterHelp ad reads is also up. So hey, if you see a YouTuber sponsor this thing, just tell them in the comments, knock it off. With that all being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. Follow my social medias, links are all down below, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Have a good one.
She got to the bone. Wait, these niggas watching, I swear to God, they be my clones. Switching my hoes like my flows. Switching my friends like my clothes. Keep on shooting that gun, no reload.